Hi guys, my name's Jenny Armstrong. I work for YNZ. But first of all, welcome to our Junior to Youth Pathways chat. It's great to have you all here. We hope you learn something along the way. But presenting tonight, I've got myself, I'm the Women's Sailing Manager. Also got Jeff Woolley, who's our Talent Development Manager. Hi Jeff, are you there?
Hello everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to connect with everyone.
And also Sam Mackay, who's our Youth and Events Manager, who leads our youth program, is here as well.
Thanks, Jenny. G'day, everyone.
So first of all, awesome that you're all here, and I know that you're from all around the country. So I'd love to pop in the chat where you're from, what class you're sailing now, and maybe even what you're thinking about, what your next step could look like. We hope from tonight's session you'll learn something about making your next pathway decision in sailing, and also know where to get some help along the way. So at any time on this presentation, please pop in if something comes up, pop a question in the chat, and at the end we'll have some time to answer some questions and see if we can help you out with what's next in our exciting sport of sailing.
Started, is it?
Okay, so the agenda for tonight, just to give you a rough idea of what we're heading at. Introductions, which I've just done. I'm going to talk about the different youth sailing classes that are available. An overview of our Aon youth program. Also a small introduction into the NZL sailing performance program, of which the Aon youth program is part of. How to make some things to think about when you're looking at your next step in sailing. We're going to do a little bit of a look at a couple of pathways for some of our sailors, just to give you an example of what their pathways have looked like, and of course questions at the end. So that's what we're going to go for tonight. So first of all, I guess we just thought sailing is one of these very special sports, which I know if you're on this call now, you already know that. And what we wanted to do with this slide is just show that it's not just the sailing. There's many, many exciting opportunities and careers around the sailing and the sailing industry. Tonight, we're going to focus on the youth classes, but there's many, many other sailing boats and classes to sail, and I'll just highlight a couple, like foiling classes, keelboat sailing, club racing, getting involved in race management, judging, as well as the careers alongside, boat building, engineering, sail making, coaching, instructing, media, and of course marine biology. Environmentalism is very front and center these days. But today we're going to focus on the youth classes and what your next pathway out of the junior classes could look like. For me, sailing, I'm really old, but I've worked in sailing. I've been a sailor and worked in sailing my whole life. I've traveled the world. My best friends are sailors all over the world, traveled heaps, lots of experiences, and I've worked across the sail. Apart from being a sailor, I've worked in the charter boat industry. I've worked for a yacht broker, and now I'm circled back working in coaching and developing our youth into this great sport that we all know is sailing. So I'll pass on to Sam, who will just give you a snapshot of what the next youth classes look like.
Thanks, Jenny. So yeah, as Jenny said, this here is a snapshot of the youth classes that compete at the World Sailing Youth Worlds. And these are the classes that are all designed basically to mirror the Olympic classes that you would have seen a few weeks back in Marseille. So they're all sort of mini versions of them. Every one of these classes is sailed in New Zealand and are basically incorporated into our youth program, other than the NACRA 15 that isn't really sailed in New Zealand anymore. But yeah, we thought before I talk about the youth program, we just wanted to highlight them just in case anyone wasn't aware of any or hadn't seen them before. So I'm going to talk about the Aon Youth Program. So for those that don't know, it's a national program designed to be a world-leading program developing our youth sailors. And those are the three key aims of the program there. Pretty straightforward, but yeah, that first one there, New Zealand sailors, we have a proud history of success at youth level, and we recognise its importance in the wider pathway, which is what Jeff will talk about a bit later on. But many of New Zealand's best sailors, they started off going through the youth program.
Oh,
That
hey,
proud,
Maddie Smith.
That proud history of success includes, over 50 medals, and it's been a proving stepping stone to further success in the sport. So pretty key. Sailor League capabilities essentially means stepping up from where you've come before. So it might be a junior class, your Opti, your P, your Starling, Fever, Open Skiff, and beginning to probably step away from the support of your parents, your coaches, and starting to lead your own program and improve your key skills. The other thing to recognise here is that we're pretty fortunate that sailing is a sport that develops not just skills that are to do with winning yacht races. It develops all sorts of skills that are life skills and help you succeed in anything you do, and can help you set you up for many successful careers, as Jenny just talked about with her story. And then lastly, we hope to encourage and inspire people to follow on from the many people that have come before, some of them that have been highlighted in the last few weeks, going on to win medals and do the country proud on the Olympic stage. So this is a snapshot of the structure of the Aon program. When you first transition into your youth class, so one of those ones I highlighted before, you'll first enter the program by attending a new to class or a regional clinic, depending on where you live. And then from there, when you're ready, you'll apply and be accepted into the national program. So it's a yearly program. It runs from October to October, and it consists of 3 to 4 national clinics per year. They are normally in Auckland, and there's also a 4-day live-in national camp, which is coming up this December up at Manly. And then early next year, we're going to be selecting a performance squad as a bit of a increased level support for the program, and that's for those that are targeting results at international regattas. To be accepted into the program, you need to be committed to your youth class and sailing at least 3 to 4 times a week. Committed to attending the key pinnacle domestic events in the season. So that's the New Zealand Youth Championships, which I'll talk about in a second, and then your class nationals. So your 29 or your 420 IQ foil nationals, which might be at different times of the year. And then alongside that, you just need to have a base level of boat handling from time already spent in the boat. And this means just being able to handle and race your boat in up to 20-25 knots of breeze. And as mentioned before, our aim is to have a world-leading program, and it's led by a team of world-leading coaches. It's designed to cover key performance topics throughout the season, and we want to try and give sailors the knowledge and the skills and support to improve their sailing as much as possible. We're really fortunate in New Zealand to have access to world champions, Olympians. I mean, Jenny leading this call, she's an Olympic gold medalist and a key part of our program. And there's, many people just like her involved at coaching the clinics. It's a key strength of our program in New Zealand, and makes it pretty exciting to be involved in these clinics. And they share advice on key performance topics. So, off the back of the games, we'll definitely be tapping into some of the lessons learned from the team. And it's a pretty key strength. As part of being in the program, any sailors attending Class World Championships are also supported with a coach. And I'll talk more about that on the next slide. Then alongside the support from Y&Z, the program is also supported by High Performance Sport New Zealand, and that means that sailors have access to gym programs, get advice on nutrition and key support to transition into Olympic campaigns. But also, one of the real valuable assets of high performance sport is the advice that the sailors get for careers outside of school and that transition when they go either into university or other jobs and careers. So that's really cool, and how to balance that with their sailing if they're doing Olympic campaigning. We also use a communication platform called TeamApp to stay connected. We have a large database of past presentations at clinics. We have gym programs. We have videos on key topics and technique and other resources. So yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive program, and hopefully gives any sailor like within it the tools and capability to go on and win medals on the world stage. And to talk about that, we have 2 pinnacle international events each year in the program. So that's Youth Class Worlds and the World Sailing Youth Worlds. And both are equally valued, but quite different. Youth Class Worlds is basically open to anyone that wants to compete. You bring your own equipment. Each class has their own separate event, so usually in a different country to other youth classes. And so this is actually a photo of Joe and Josh, who won a bronze medal this year at the Class 420 World Championships in Brazil. And that was a massive achievement for them after 2 years of hard work. And just a month before that, they narrowly missed out on a medal at the Youth Worlds. And so to do that a few months later, was basically the same sort of milestone. So they can be pretty proud of that. And then the World Sailing Youth Worlds is the other key event. And actually, to start this presentation, the photo on the slide was actually the 2024 team. And Jess, who's on that call, there's a photo of her up there because she was part of that team, which was pretty exciting for her. And we actually just got back from this year's event a few weeks ago, and that was it in Lake Garda, Italy. So the Youth Worlds is a bit different. Only one sailor of each gender gets to represent their country in each class. And so we select a team each year from the New Zealand Youth Championships. It used to be called the Youth Trials. And so this is why it's the other pinnacle, or probably the pinnacle domestic event for the program alongside class nationals. The Youth Worlds is designed to emulate the Olympics. It's quite unique. All the teams stay together, and being in that team environment, all classes together, the only regatta that you'll have like that outside of it is really the Olympics. All teams normally, there's supplied equipment. So basically you rock up and you're allocated a boat and a sail and everything. You don't fly with anything. And there's very limited on-water coaching, which is quite different. All the coaches are on their own big barge altogether. And so it's pretty different compared to your typical regatta. But yeah, very special, and New Zealand has a really proud history of success at that event. And so just to finish talking about the program, we wanted to just share some of the key beliefs or values, I guess you could call them, of the program. Hopefully you've probably seen these before, but that first one there, the power of the group, what we mean by that, what I think about it is terms of squad culture, and that's a key backbone of the program. So big fleets are often on the other side of the world to us. It's a challenge, but it can also be a strength that we have strong squads that learn off each other by sharing, by pushing each other, and we have quality domestic racing. We can do the work down in New Zealand and then turn up to these international events like we've done in the past and still do really well. That second one there, time on the water, nothing beats time on the water. It just recognizes that there's like a huge amount of hard work required if you want to be good at any sport, but definitely sailing. And each sailor or team needs to do the time between clinics. Like the clinics is not designed to be the only sailing that you do by any means, like that 3 to 4 times a week. You need to spend the time at your own clubs refining your skills, particularly your core boat handling, to then be able to perform under pressure. Winners are fast learners. You could also call this having a growth mindset. And it's just being honest about your gaps, being smart about prioritizing what is going to make the biggest difference to your sailing. And that kind of relates to being sailor led, what I mentioned before, beginning to step up and own your own sailing. So that's an absolutely key foundation of our program. And then lastly, sport for life, fun first. We recognize we all do the sport because we enjoy it. We're all still in, for Jeff, Judy and I, we're all still in the sport because we love the sport. And we all need to continue to do so to stay in sailing and hopefully, for people coming through the program, stay well beyond youth and yeah, keeping the sport for life. So now I think I'm handing back to Jenny, who's going to talk about the classes in a bit more detail and some of the strengths and what they're all about. So I'll hand over to Jenny.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. And fun fact, I'm just going to talk about my two favorite classes. So here we go, Sam. Can we see the 420?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Got that with me.
Okay, so the 420 class. 420 is quite an interesting class now because they have the female division, but also there's the open division, which can be male or mixed crews. And over the last few years, we've seen a few many mixed crews come to the top of the open fleet. So that's a very exciting opportunity there. The 420 is really good for teaching those basic tactical foundations, and it rewards you for good technique and good teamwork. So it's a great class that gives you a great base for sailing any other class you sail after that. It's great also to learn how to set up a rig and the sail tuning and all those sort of details in between. The pathway, the world's your oyster. If you sail 420, you can move on to basically any double-handed class. We have people moving into the 29er, into the 470, 49er, and the 49er FX. So the world's your oyster. Also, there's opportunities to go back into single-handed classes as well. And the crew weight sort of is quite a good range here, so 95 to 130 kilos-ish. And I think the better you have the boat handling and the understanding of the rig and the sail tuning, you can work with that wide weight range there. So it's a fun class and one worth considering for sure. However, if you prefer to sail on your own, we have my other favorite class, the Ilka 6. So the Ilka 6 is the single-handed male and female class in the youth, and then that moves in the Olympic classes. The Ilka 6 is the women's Olympic class, single-handed class, and the Ilka 7 is the men's Olympic class. So it's a great stepping stone to those classes. It's a very physical boat we've written there lots of hiking. We don't want to shy away from the harder you hike, the faster you'll go. And because people call it a slow boat, but let's just say it's a slower boat. It's a very tactical boat. So it may seem simple, but the tactics are really important, and getting them right is really critical. The setup is simple, but also complicated because the small details really matter. We're really lucky in New Zealand. There's good fleets. We'll get 40, 50 boats at a nationals. So it's a good big fleet racing. And the weight range, I guess, starts from 60 up to about 75 kilos. So that's, want to make sure you're within that weight range, and then the Ilka 6 could be something for you. So Jeff, what are your favorite classes?
Yeah, I can't say, Jenny. I can't say no favorites. But the Windfoil, thank you, Jenny and Sam. The Windfoil it's a new class that's come in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's pretty exciting. I'm not sure, I've probably watched some of it at the Olympics, and it's a super fast foiling, physical, the ripping. The race formats are super interesting in the IQ foil. They do 3 different types of race formats. So you do the slalom, which is in the lighter winds, and it's about 4-minute races where you do a reach start and then the downwind or zigzag basically. And you have the normal windward leeward racing and the moderate to windy stuff. And they also do a marathon race, which you may have seen at the Olympics as well, got abandoned halfway through. So yeah, the IQs are we got really good knowledge in New Zealand. We've got, some sailors at the top of the world, and that filters through the class. There's a really good class structure in New Zealand. And yeah, it's a fun, fast board to race, and pretty wide weight range for males and females. So it's a cool option as well if that's what you're into. It's quite simple. You can the nice thing is you can travel with your gear on the plane. So the logistics are a lot simpler. And you can certainly put some hard yards in on your own because it rewards just time on the water for sure. Just learning to foil, into foil tack, learning your board handling and that sort of thing. And 29er, yeah, class I sail, definitely love a 29er. It's at the Youth Worlds, it's girls and male or mixed as well. And actually the mixed team at the Youth Worlds won the Youth Worlds recently. So that's pretty cool. And the 420 as well, the mixed teams won the Youth Worlds. So yes, 29 is the junior boat to the 49er. It's skiff sailing, it's fast, it's short races, it's dynamic, downwind, you're throwing jibes in. It's pretty great fun, cool racing. It definitely is a challenge to master the boat handling when you hop in. I certainly remember hopping in, going and just swimming. You're going to swim a lot. It is a tough boat early on, but it's a pretty cool boat once you get the hang of it. And it's pretty physical for the crews. Yeah, you've got to be pretty strong and fit to be a quality crew and fast and dynamic around the boat. And that weight range is sort of 115 to 135. And what we have seen, sort of our successful 29er sailors recently, a lot of them have, like Seb Menzies, for example, did start in the 420 for a year or two, or a couple of years for him, and then moved into the 29er. So it's a cool boat. And if you're looking to 49er or FX, it's certainly a good pathway. Thank you.
Cool.
Back to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jeff. So how do you choose? There's so many cool options out there, but what we thought we'd do is just give you a few little things you might want to think about while you're figuring out your next steps. So I guess that the first of all thing is single or double-handed. Do you like sailing on your own, or do you prefer to be sailing with a pal? That's a really good question to ask yourself first, because that determines what boats might suit you best. Do you like helming, or do you want to take a more strategic role? One thing we talked about today was that being a good crew is really highly valued, and crews are often overlooked, but I would much rather have a good crew than a good helm any day. And the crews are actually the people on the boat that make the boat go fast. So the other thing is what boat might fit you best. So you want to make sure that the boat suits your body, your size. We want to make sure we match the boats to the bodies, not the other way around. The other thing is, what boats are raced locally. So where are the big fleets close to you? So where are you going to get the best racing and have the most fun with your mates? And the other thing we were talking about today is actually, what is your long game? Big picture, 5-10 years out, where do you want to be? And which boat or class or position on the boat might help you along that pathway. So, for example, do you want to sail 470? Well, then 420 might be the way to go. Are you looking at sailing at Ilka 7? Then you might want to, go with the Ilka 6. But whatever, have a think, a few years ahead, where do I want to be? And then what's the best pathway for me to get to that point? Yeah. There you go. Jeff.
Thanks, Jenny. As we discussed before, this is our snapshot of our kind of high performance program levels, and this is the kind of the pathway to the very top of the world, making the NZL sailing team and trying to go to the Olympics and trying to win medals. And the youth program is the base of that pathway, and it's a critical part of it where we develop the skills. And if you have the desire and you work hard and then you achieve some good results on the way, there is the opportunity to move up through the levels and ultimately try and get to the top if that's what you want to go. And certainly in the program we educate and discuss more on what Olympic sailing can look like, what the next steps can look like, all the skills you need to develop, and the youth program is certainly trying to develop those core skills so you step into whatever's next and you're sort of ready to roll ahead of the pack somewhat. So it's just a snapshot of the whole high performance program. And yeah, move on. Thank you, Sam. And yeah, I mean, as we've talked about before, basically our whole Olympic team and many of our top sailors all came through this exact program and pathway and setup and things. You know, you got our medalists in front of us in that photo there who are not actually that long out of their youth sailing in the big picture. So it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty cool, I think, and it's definitely an opportunity for sailors to, you can get what you can take out of it, how much effort you put in. Basically, the coaches are there, the information is there. It's the sailors that kind of grab it and learn the most and take the most from it. You see, always go the furthest, just like anything. So, as Sam touched on, we have pretty amazing coaches pretty regularly, or every clinic, pretty phenomenal experience to sort of tap into and learn off. So it's like that sailor ownership and learning and owning your campaign and owning your learning to try and get the most out of the people and the resources there are there. So it's pretty cool. And then you can end up like these guys on screen. And just a couple of examples of different pathways that people have taken. And there's so many, and it's too many. There's different options. I think of Josh Armit, who sailed a Ilka 6 through his youth sailing and then transitioned to the IQ foil, and now he's, you know, 4th at the Olympic Games. But just a couple of examples here. Peter Burling, we know, the best sailor in the world at the moment. I think, as Jenny discussed, he was a really good example of always matching his body weight to the right boat. So he often left classes before he actually aged out. He did it in the Opti, he did it in the Starling, he did it in the 420. He moved on before he got too big because he was always on the bigger side. So he moved through the Opti, P, Starling, the traditional classes, did really well. He jumped in the 420 and helmed for a year and a half, I think. Ended up starting to get big. And then I think knew his long game was eventually to try and sail a 49 as a helm. So he thought, what skills do I need to develop? I need to learn to trapeze properly. I need to learn to, so therefore crewing was a good option. So he crewed in the 420 for 2 or 3 years and really successful. And then moved into the 470 and crewed in that as well. And then it was a really easy transition for him to the 49er helm because he had all those crewing skills. And then, as we know, he's, the most successful 49er sailor ever, Moth, you name it, he's doing it, Sail GP, etc. But yeah, I think the key one is he moved through his junior sailing with a really good group around him. He's from Tauranga, so not he didn't have a huge fleet or anything, but they moved through together and worked as a squad, that power of the pack, and always moved classes at the right time, I would say, making sure he wasn't getting too big for boats. And then Erica, who won a bronze medal, 2 weeks ago, very cool story. Just so I'm so impressed with her determination. She had quite a few setbacks in her sailing, but in terms of her pathway, she did the junior classes and did the 420 and wasn't a superstar in the 420 necessarily, didn't go and win medals or anything. So that's sort of one of the messages. You don't have to be, the best necessarily. Success does come later, potentially. She did the 420, moved to the FX, helmed that, lost a crew, was sort of floating around for a while, wasn't sure what to do, stayed in the sport, just stuck at it, took every opportunity possible, tried different crews, tried coaching for a bit, just stuck at it. And then the NACRA 17 opportunity turned up for her, and she's been to 2 Olympics now and now won a bronze medal. So I think it's a pretty cool example of someone just sticking at it with a few setbacks. Could easily have just gone, oh, this is too hard, but pretty impressive. And now she's, Sail GP, Women's America's Cup, and got a lot of opportunities. So super impressive from her.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff. So just thought we want to leave you with a few takeaways from this presentation, but I think it's really important, and hopefully the pathways have demonstrated that success comes at different ages and stages. So I think part of the message is that your pathway is going to look different to your friends, to Peter Burling's, to Erica's. They're all different, but you can still get to the same place at the end. Nothing beats time on the water. I think we can't reinforce that enough. The best practice is on the water, sailing, getting learning the craft, learning the feeling. I do like this picture that we've got here is Team New Zealand, who did a flyby through our youth trials, and just so cool to see those guys on that boat remember what it was like to be a youth. So they're very connected with seeing, demonstrating what could be for our youth and junior sailors in the future. So I really like that photo. And the other thing, sailing, as I said in the beginning, has very many different opportunities. And it's just about choosing which pathway works for you, which one you get the most enjoyment, where your passion is, and then, giving it a go. And, I guess we all know that sailing is super fun, and we just want to make sure that our junior sailors stick on the pathway and enjoy the sport for life.
Cool, thanks, Jenny. So if you have a few questions after this presentation, I mean, we'll try and answer as many as we can right now, but we do also have a lot of information on our website. If you go, our website is full of information, so can be a little bit tricky to navigate, but if you go into NZL Sailing and then down to youth, that's where all the key information for the program will be. We actually have our New Zealand Sailing handbook that we're just currently updating and hope to have out in the next couple of weeks, so look out for that. But if you're thinking about getting into youth class, please, first point of contact would be me. But Jeff, Jenny, and myself, we all try to, we just want to support anyone that's interested as much as we can, and happy to give as much advice as needed. And we got a pretty good handle on what's going on around the country, and so hopefully can provide some good guidance there with what you're thinking next. So do we have any questions? I'll see if I can get into the chat. If anyone, is there any funding from YNZ when getting towards Olympic levels? I might pass that to Jeff.
Yes, there is. We have some pretty clear performance markers to sort of move up the support and funding levels as you hit results, basically. So that information is on our website, and it's something we certainly cover in our youth and development programs so people are pretty clear on how it all looks.
Cool. No other questions at this stage. So if anyone that none pop up, probably a good time to end it there. Thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully you found that interesting. But like I said, if you've got any other questions, please feel free to get in contact. But
thanks, Sam and Jenny. And any feedback on any sort of different information you'd like to know or hear about, we're always drop it to Sam in an email as well. We're always keen to provide the right information and what people need to know. So keen for feedback as well.
And I think we'll also just follow up tomorrow to send this PowerPoint out so you've got it as a reference. And again, feel free to any questions, happy to help and hopefully steer you in the right direction.